And it's not really about how much money you have at one time, but it's about being able to save some, so you don't spend everything you make. And that's how we were able to buy our properties in cash. We saved.
I'm dancing on the edge again. The wind is calling my name. I'm dancing on the edge.
Right, that's number one. You're going to have to create a budget. You're going to have to stick to that budget. And in order to have cash stacked up, you have to spend less than what you make.
I break the molds with rebels mind. I'm a hurricane of free-born mind. I remember when you told me I should settle down, but these restless feet won't.
We researched the property. We found out that it was available, and it had just recently become available. And there were actually others who put in offers and they didn't take it. They wanted, the full price offer, and we didn't want to offer full price at first either. But when we saw that the real estate company was firm, we were ready and we moved on it because we had the cash in hand.
You can change me, you can tell me down. I'll be echoes in every place I find. I break the molds with rebels mind. I'm a hurricane of free-born mind. A free-born mind.
Willing to invest and work towards your goals. And I really believe if you stick to it, if you use that patience muscle over time, aggressively working towards your goal, you will obtain it.
With rebels mind, I'm a hurricane of free-born mind. You can change me, you can tell me down. I'll be echoes in every place I find. Break the molds with rebels mind. I'm a hurricane of free-born mind. You can change me, you can tell me down. I'll be echoes in every place I find.
What's up, Solo? Heard you were wrangling snakes? You wrangling snakes?
Get him, boy. Get him, boy. Get him, boy. Get him, boy. Get him, Solo. Get him, Solo.
Good job. What's up, Resurrection Ranch family? I am out here in the beautiful, peaceful woods. It is amazing. I mean, just the sights and the sounds of God's nature. It is truly ministering to my soul, and I want y'all to be able to experience it. If you have the desire to own property, if that is one of your dreams, we want you to experience it. And Tim's last video, he did a video on 5 steps to obtaining property, obtaining land. We're talking about acreage affordably, okay? And that fifth step, if y'all will remember, is the most important step. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about that 5th step. If you didn't see that video, go back and watch that video. If you truly have a dream of owning land, you need to see it. So watch that video, and then this video, I am just breaking down that 5th step to being able to attain property affordably, to be able to experience this. Yes, you can experience this, and it's attainable for you. And we're just going to break down how we did it and some very, very practical steps that you can take on that journey if you have a vision for owning property. So that fifth step, if you saw the video, you know what that fifth step is. But if you hadn't, definitely go back and watch it like I said before. But that fifth step to attaining property is just stacking up a bunch of cash, stacking up a bunch of money, because we're not talking about going into debt to own a property. We're talking about paying for a property, paying for acreage, owning land, and doing so in cash. So that fifth step is, in order to buy a property in cash, you actually have to have a sum of money, a pretty substantial sum of money. Our properties have been around $10,000 to purchase around 4 to 5 acres, around that amount of acreage. So you're going to have a sizable amount of money, of cash stacked up. And how do you do it? How is it possible to do that? That's what I want to talk to you about today. I want to talk to you about owning, or that process to owning a property in cash means you actually have to have a sizable amount of cash stacked up. But that is doable, that's possible. And there are some steps that you can take in order to stack up cash, even if you don't have a lot of cash. So you may feel like, nah, that's just impossible for me because I don't have a lot of money. So there's no way for me to even have $10,000 saved up because I don't have $10,000. I don't have a lot of money. We were able to buy properties in cash and save the money, and we didn't have a lot of money. We had around $30,000 or so annual income, and we had a family size of 4 at that time. So it's possible for you to do it. And it's not really about how much money you have at one time, but it's about being able to save some. So you don't spend everything you make. And that's how we were able to buy our properties in cash. We saved. So we had a budget, right? That's number one. You're going to have to create a budget. You're going to have to stick to that budget. And in order to have cash stacked up, you have to spend less than what you make. So however much you make, if you can find a way to create some margin between what you make and what you spend, and take that and you save it. That's it. You cut things. Anything that is not essential, cut it. Right? Anything you can do without. That whole entertainment section, the cushy items, the convenience items, cut them. Cut those items from your budget, and you will, whatever you're spending now, spend less. It's that simple. Now, you have to be very disciplined in order to stick to that budget that you create. You have to be very disciplined to cut those items and for those items to stay cut. But it is possible. We cut cable, and that was a big one for Tim because he liked this certain sports show that he would like to watch every day. But he was willing to cut the cable to invest into his future, to invest into the vision of owning property. And also that was huge for me in terms of what can I cut. For me, we were going to cut the grocery budget and start making items from scratch. So it might be as simple as, okay, I was buying the baby carrots that were already cut. So now I'm going to buy a big bag of whole carrots and I'm going to cut them myself. So those, like I said, convenience items, the entertainment, like with the cable, we cut it. We cut it. And if there was any room, any room in the budget, anything, we went through literally everything we spent money on. And if it wasn't essential, we cut it. If we could find a way to do without it, we cut it. If we could find a way to get it or do it, but for less money, we did it. And that was how we created some margin between what we made and what we spent. And so we created that margin between what we made and what we spent per month. And that was how we created room in our budget to save. And we saved that money, and we stacked it up over time, month after month after month after month of saving. I mean, and it wasn't easy. Sometimes that meant we rarely ate out. We ate at home instead of eating out. We made our meals. Like I said, we cut the grocery budget. If there was anything we could cut or buy for less, we did. I shopped for things in bulk. I bought a 25, I believe, pound bag of flour. And you might think, okay, bread, you can get bread for around $1, $2 a loaf. So bread's not that expensive, right? So I could buy bread. But if I'm making sandwiches for our family and it takes around a loaf of bread to make sandwiches for everybody, that's $2 every time we have sandwiches, right? If we do that, 5 times a week, that's $10. $10 a week is $40. Well, if I can buy a 25-pound bag of flour and say that 25-pound bag of flour is just around $20, then I've saved $20 out of our budget in a month, y'all, just by making the bread from scratch. And guess what? Not only can I make bread with that flour, I can make waffles, I can make pancakes, I can make brownies. And so now I'm taking one item that I'm buying, that I'm purchasing, that's $20, and swapped it for something I would have been spending $40 on. But I can make more than just that bread that was already made that I'm swapping. I can also make other items as well. So there were little things like that in our budget, literally in, all different types of areas. Tim was, did all our oil changes and maintenance and things like that. And so it was like we were able to save money in lots of different areas and create more margin between what we made and what we spent. And we were able to just stack that away. And even though, like, when we cut cable, that was only, around $60, $70 a month. And you think, oh, these little things, just like with the bread, it's only $2 for a loaf of bread. These little things that I'm sacrificing, they're so small that they don't add up to much, right? So it's okay. I can do the bread, I can do the cable. But what you learn when you create a budget, right? And what you learn when you stick to that budget, and what you learn when you sacrifice things that you would rather have in order to just create, even if it's a little bit of margin, even if it's just the $60, a month or whatever. You learn the discipline of sacrifice. You learn to use that muscle, right, of staying within a boundary. And that is crucial, not just to stacking up the cash, but you're learning how to manage your money, and that will help you to be prepared to manage property and manage acreage. And so you're developing a discipline in this process, and then you're not tempted in the same way. So when you have a budget and you know where your money is going, every month, and you get an extra check, in the mail, you get a rebate or a refund, from overpaying a doctor's bill or something in that nature. You just get unexpected funds. If they're saying that, we're having overtime at work, you raise your hand, right? And you know where those unexpected funds are going to go, right? You know that those unexpected funds are going straight to savings, straight to stacking up the cash, because you have the vision for owning this property. And that is, you're able to like direct your steps. You're able to put your money where your mouth is, right? Because if you aren't willing to sacrifice these little things like cable, or to sacrifice, cutting up carrots or making meals at home or different things in that nature, then do you really want the property, right? You're able to now use a budget to direct the funds in the area where you want to go, right? You want to buy a property, you want to pay for it in cash. Okay, well, let's start investing in that. You don't have to have the property already to invest your money and your resources in that direction. So when you start putting your money and your resources in that direction, then you're able to like actually be working towards the goal that you have of owning property. And so you have to have patience, right? You have to have the patience, but at the same time, I'm not talking about like, oh, it'll happen, I can wait for it type of patience. I'm talking about like, I am working as hard as I can possibly work, right? But I'm still willing to keep working and waiting, because the results I know are still a little bit further off, right? So for years, you're like, I'm able to cut whatever it is I need to cut. I'm willing to, a lot of times we will have long farm days out at IAG Farms, a farm that we have, and we would, still want to own more property and be saving for other property. And so we would have a long, exhausting farm day, and we would get home, and there was no picking up a meal after that. It was, we're going to get back home, we're going to make a meal, we're going to wait for it, and we're going to clean up after. And we had to have that discipline. And sometimes, I would make meals ahead and things like that, but you're committed to making the food at home and saving money and stacking that cash toward buying more land, toward buying more property. And we did this for years. We passed by, properties that we were eyeing. This property, we passed by for years, and we just had that goal in our minds. We were just stacking up the cash. Little by little, we were working towards the goal of owning the property. So we didn't even research this property right away. We stacked up the cash, and we were patient, and we waited, and we were aggressively working toward our goal while still stacking up the cash and while still waiting. We didn't get discouraged a year in. We didn't get discouraged 2 years in. We didn't get discouraged 3 years in, right? But then when we had stacked up a sizable amount of money and we were ready to research it, we jumped on it and we began to research. And this is where the miracle happens. This is where This is where the miracle happened. And the Lord really stepped in because he saw our faithfulness. He saw how determined we were to reach our goal. And right when we were ready and looking and we researched the property, we found out that it was available, and it had just recently become available. And there were actually others who put in offers and they didn't take it. They wanted, the full price offer, and we didn't want to offer full price at first either. But when we saw that the real estate company was firm, we were ready and we moved on it because we had the cash in hand and we didn't have to hesitate. So we were able, and this is where the patience comes in, we were able to wait, to stack up the cash, to aggressively work towards the goal, cutting anything that wasn't essential, really working harder. We were able to save money by working a little harder ourselves, even if if that wasn't, working extra hours on a job, maybe it's working extra hours on a job for you. But we were able to work harder, and willing to work harder on some things like, cooking extra meals at home, not buying convenience items or stopping out to eat, but waiting for those meals, waiting, cutting cable, just, being patient even as we stacked up the cash. We were able to just exercise that discipline of patiently waiting, but still working hard. And I think that that's where people may get mixed up about patience, because patience isn't just doing nothing. Patience means I should see results because of how hard I'm working, but I know the results are coming. They're still a little bit far off, and you're willing to work hard but still wait on it. You don't give up or get discouraged, but you're able to be patient and keep going and continue on the process, because you know that process will eventually work. And it did. It definitely worked. Even just the small areas that we were able to cut, we were able just to save $10 here, save $60 here, save, $20 there. But that all added up over a 3-year span of time. And then you have God also coming in with miracles, with, a check here, unexpected money there. We were also able to start some different businesses and get money from doing different things like that. And all those things is like came together because we still were exercising the discipline we learned by budgeting, right? Because we knew where the extra money was going to go. We didn't blow it on this or blow it on that. We had a vision for it, and we were able to direct our money towards the vision that we had of owning land and owning property. And that's how we were able to own land and property and stack up cash, even though we didn't have a lot of cash. It was all about just making some margin, making some space between what we made and then what we spent, and then having the wisdom to direct that towards the vision that we had of owning property. So it may seem like, a little bit here, a little bit there, it doesn't matter or make a difference. I just don't have enough. Well, that's not true. What you have been given is enough, and you just have to figure out, how am I going to manage it, and use your patience to save it over time. So once you have that space, you have that savings, you have that margin, you can direct that towards the vision that God has given you of owning land. And then you use that patience muscle over time to build it up. And it will work. We are living testimonies and proof. I'm standing on a property now that was obtained in this way that I'm talking to you about now. So it is possible. It is attainable, even if you don't have a lot of money. You just use what you have. Make sure you have some that you're saving every month. You're exercising that discipline of saving, of staying within a budget, and then using patience over time to build. And that's it, y'all. That's how we were able to obtain properties in cash, own land in cash. We made sure we had a budget, we had margin, we stuck to it. That discipline of saving to stack up cash, and then we use patience to build it over time. And then we were ready. We were ready when the time was right. We were in position. We had the money saved, and we were able to offer full price for this property, and even beat out others that had bid or offered lower than, weren't willing to offer full price. So I am so glad that y'all joined me and are just willing to invest and work towards your goals. And I really believe if you stick to it, if you use that patience muscle over time, aggressively working towards your goal, you will obtain it. All right. So that's it, y'all. That's all I have for y'all today. But go forth and work towards accomplishing those goals that the Lord has given you. And this is the Resurrection Ranch, and it is still all about God. I'll see you on the next one.